As of right now, I mean, this hard landing that we're talking about, it took about 24 hours from the time that this plane came down and then stopped in order to have it actually removed from the tarmac, from that position where it came to a stop and where it was met by fire crews with the suppression foam. And at the same time that was being dealt with, we saw the 167 people who were on board exiting through emergency exits on those emergency slides. There are two things that are important to know about the removal of this aircraft from the tarmac. And we have pictures of it for you. It's been going on for hours and hours here. This is a difficult thing. And partly that's because the safety and we have sped this up just a little bit here so that you can actually see something happening here, because like I say, it took so long. But safety and the integrity of the aircraft. There were large cranes and heavy machinery involved in trying to get it to off of this runway, which incidentally is the only runway at this airport. We know now as well that members of Canada's Transportation Safety Board are going to they have deployed and are on their way to St. Maarten to be part of this investigation. That was assumed was going to happen, given that this is a Canadian company, WestJet, that we know is also involved in the investigation. And this is a plane that took off from Toronto, Canada. Also likely to be involved here is the FAA, the U.S., because this Boeing 737 was manufactured in the United States. So those will be likely the parties that are going to be involved. And what they're going to try to figure out is what exactly happened to that right landing gear, because experts that have looked at the footage here believe that it either it collapsed or it failed in some degree. What we know from the airport is that caused the plane to tilt, that the right wing actually touched the tarmac. And then, of course, you have to look at that tarmac as well. And what is interesting, I mean, there was no fire, and everyone has remarked on how amazing that was. But as well, the tarmac, the fact that they are now able to reopen, which is what has happened, and that they have now been able to reopen the airport. They have moved the 737 to a safe location.
Yeah, a lot of things went well here. The fact that there are no reported injuries, that there was no fire. But just imagine landing, being a passenger on a plane that's landing, and it hits so hard on the runway that a landing gear collapses. And you said the right wing scraped the ground, right?
It touched.
Yeah. So imagine what that's like to be inside while all of that happened. And as you mentioned, this is the only runway at this airport. So what impact has it had on airport operations? I
mean, when you're an international airport, a tourist destination, there's a single runway. It's a huge effect on this airport. This is the Princess Juliana International Airport. And let me show you the arrivals screen that has been up there for the last 24 hours. It is just littered with delay and cancellation all the way through. The good news is that as of about 2.5 hours ago now, we started seeing landed and departed starting to pop up. And that's because, of course, they were able to reopen this airport. But a lot of passengers have been affected by this, and those passengers have actually been getting updates direct from the runway. A communications person down there watching this airplane be safely moved away has been providing video updates. And let me play you a little bit of that.
Hey travelers, good news, the plane is now being moved out of the way. Once that happens, Civil Aviation will give us the okay and we will be able to reopen the runway. Hey travelers, extreme good news, we are now reopened. The runway is clear and you can now take off or land in St. Maarten here at Princess Juliana International Airport. We urge you to go to your airline websites or contact your airlines directly so that you can have the most up-to-date information on any flights reschedulement or any flight cancellations that there may be.
That last update that I just played there, that was about 4 hours ago. So operations have resumed. And I'll just note, among the things that are sort of special about this particular runway is its location to Moho Beach, which is, it's very popular with plane spotters because it's just so beautiful. And because of the way it is set up, the planes have to come in at such a low angle. There actually are signs up on that beach warning beachgoers about the jet blast and how dangerous that can be. It can be very dangerous. In fact, it can even be deadly.
Yeah, I love that announcement about the runways. You think in Canada it'll be, we have delays, please check with your airline?
No, they're giving video messages right from the tarmac.
Fantastic. Yeah. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next guest was operating that webcam that got the video of the incident. Jaco Steffens is the co-founder of Show Me Caribbean, a content and streaming website. He also worked at the airport, by the way, 40 years ago as a mechanic for the airline Win Air, and he joins us now from Curacao to tell us what he saw. So you were watching this plane on your webcam. Describe what was going through your mind as it came closer to the runway.
Well, it was like any other plane. I've been tracking for a year and a half now, plane after plane. And okay, it was a little bit of crosswind and whatever, but nothing particular. But at the moment I saw the touchdown, it was a hard landing, but we had some hard landings that day already. But the moment it touched down and I saw the aircraft lean to the right, I said, something ain't right here. And yeah, at that moment, the adrenaline goes up because you say, wow, am I in real time watching something going real bad? Fortunately not.
Fortunately not.
That would, but fortunately not. But I was very afraid that at any moment flames would burst out or whatever. Fire department was there quick and everything, and then you take the time to capture the rest. But at that moment, it was a unknown experience to me so far. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Why do you stream the landings?
Oh, we are a content company. We make content, videos, drone footage. And in our package, we also do webcams, mostly of beaches and scenic places in the Caribbean. And one of the best scenic places that has a combination of aviation and nice beach and nice sunsets is Maho Beach. So we put a camera there and we started actually from there. We realized, okay, people love to come and watch the planes. So we're going to track the planes. We're a year and a half later now and we're still tracking daily.
Yeah, it may be one of the best places in the world to watch landings because they come so close to the beach, and the beach there is so spectacular. I was in St. Maarten earlier this year and got to see that firsthand. Now, let's go back to what you saw through your camera lens. So it lands hard. You're worried about what might be happening next. How quickly did crews respond?
I think it was 90 seconds or a little bit more, but within 2 minutes, the fire trucks were there, and then a little later they started foaming because there was a fuel leakage, and when they foamed all the fuel and covered that up, that's when the slides came out and all the people came off board. But the fire trucks were there very quick.
And describe for me the scene. So the slides come out, passengers start coming down the slides. I don't know how well you could see it from where you were, but was it orderly? Was it chaotic? What was that part of the emergency response like?
It was very orderly, but very rapid also. People were running, sliding down and running. Yeah.
And in all the time that you've been taking video of landings at the airport at St. Maarten, have you ever seen anything close to this landing? Because, you know, some people were saying, oh, this is an airport notorious for crosswinds and difficult to land. What's your experience watching landings there?
Yeah, well, my experience, of course, there's one runway, and if the wind direction changes a little bit, you get crosswinds. It has a hill on one side, a beach on the next side. So it's a special and notorious, I wouldn't say, but I would say that most pilots would love to go to St. Maarten because it's not a standard experience. Let's put it that way.
But you've never seen any trouble, it sounds like, in terms of landings until yesterday.
No, but like on any airport, sometimes a pilot does a go-around when he does the approach wrong and they decide to do a go-around. But we've been filming now daily for a year and a half, and I can count the go-arounds and whatever on one hand. And we get plenty flights daily.
Yeah, you certainly do. And now those flights have resumed, and it'll be interesting now that Canadian investigators and others are going to be converging on St. Maarten and getting the information about what happened, which they'll get, of course, right? Because the pilots will be able to talk, the black boxes will have all the data. This will be a pretty easy one to quickly figure out exactly what happened. Jaco Steffens, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Grisha Heiliger-Maarten is the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication for St. Maarten, and she is the Deputy Prime Minister as well. And she spent the day at the airport assisting with logistics and passengers. She also had family on the plane. Minister, what was your initial reaction when you heard what happened?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me here. And good evening, Canada. Well, actually, when my cousin called me and told me that our family members were on the plane, I didn't know the gravity of it as yet. I assumed that it was a plane crash and not a crash landing. So I assumed the worst. And then I immediately called the director, Mr. Michael Cleaver of the airport, and he explained to me the details and that everyone was safe. So I was happy for that initially. But initially, it was not a good feeling hearing that for the first time.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would be like. How are your family members doing? What happened to them on board?
Well, they knew as they were landing that it was not that they needed to brace, because I think there's some videos out there where the plane was like going on and off, like, wobbling a bit. So they knew they had to brace, and luckily that prompted our fire department, and they were already on standby, ready to assist. And immediately the fire was outed, and everyone was safely.
Yeah, we're looking at some pictures that I guess your family members took when they got off the plane and that you have given to us, or let us use. I appreciate that. So just so that I'm clear, I mean, we're looking at that engine that's right on the runway and the damage, it appears, to the fuselage of this plane. It must have been, quite a shock, both physical and mental, inside that plane. I mean, explain to us again, how exactly did your family members do in there?
Well, they were fine. It landed abruptly, and it had landed hard actually, but they were fine. But this was actually the first of its kind. Never happened in St. Maarten. This is our first time ever experiencing something like this. So for them, of course, most people were a bit, we had some ambulance on standby. Some people were like really nervous and taken aback. But when I first heard, I assumed that the plane landed on the side and that we could have, okay, it's on the side, we're fine. But I didn't realize the gravity of it, that the plane completely blocked the tarmac. And that's where the problem started. That's where everything went like, how do we move this and how do we go about it? Everyone had protocols. Everyone had protocols in place, but it was time now to put the protocols in motion. And that's when everyone got into gear.
And Minister, just before we get there, I want to ask you about something else, because, I don't think anybody who's watching right now has ever had to evacuate a plane on a slide. And so when that happens, you need to leave stuff on board. You don't get your backpack. You certainly don't take your carry-on with you. You get on that slide, get off the plane. And that means that people who end up going to the terminal may not have some basic things like passports. So was there confusion? Were there delays after people were safely away from the plane?
So my first assessment was on the tarmac, and then my second assessment was to meet with the passengers. And I didn't realize the gravity of it. You don't understand it until you know. We had to literally decide, okay, WestJet is not going to allow the baggages to deplane for now. So it's going to be a long time. So maybe we should consider letting some of the passengers out. We had to talk to immigration, and before doing that, we had to assess, anyone took their passports when they came out? No. Like half of the plane some took their passports, some had their passports on their phones, and about 14 of them had no phone or anything. So now we had to think logistically, how are we going to get these passengers out? And also the logistic nightmare of getting their belongings from inside the plane and the regular baggage. So it was a night. We had people there that needed medicine. One person needed to take her medicine every 3 hours. You had babies that needed their diapers and formulas. You had the elderly. It was a chaos, and the people were a bit frustrated at times.
Yeah, I can imagine. So then there is the task of moving the WestJet plane, trying to not create any more damage, and also to try to clear that runway as quickly as possible so other flights can come and go. Where do you even begin? Like, how do you figure out where to get the crane and how to do that?
Well, that was easy. Getting the crane was not a problem because we are in full swing of construction here in St. Martin. Getting the crane wasn't an issue, but we were not able to assess or touch the plane until WestJet gave us the green light. And that waiting part, that is where they got a little ticklish because we were, should we take, if we deplane all the baggages, would it tilt? Is it okay? So we had to wait a few hours for WestJet to give us clearance to at least take the luggages out. And that, by the time we decided to allow the passengers out, right around that exact same time, they allowed us to take some of the baggages. It could have been worse, huh? It could have been that half the plane got burned or people lost, thank God that didn't happen. But everyone's items were handed over to them safely, and God bless. I think I'm a God-fearing woman, so I really prayed for that everything went smooth after at least about 4 to 5 hours. It took them to finally get out, go through immigration, get their luggage, and then some of them those that didn't have their passport, scan their passport, because by then we were ready, had the group of people without passports ready to go through the immigration process for them, and that went seamlessly. So in all, as much as my mother said, we had different protocols in place, but it all came together in the end. We're good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Listen, one last question. I had the privilege of being at your beautiful airport, flying there from Toronto and then going back to Toronto in February. And I saw there are flights from all over the place coming into St. Martin. Of course, there would be. So after whatever it was, 24 hours of no flights at all, how long do you think it's going to take to catch up for all those passengers who ended up missing flights?
I think by tomorrow, we will be able to catch up. So the flight, we were able to move the plane. A technical team came in 6 a.m. this morning through Anguilla, and we were able to move the plane by noon this afternoon. So by 1:30, airport was operational. So we missed the half of yesterday, half of today, and I think by tomorrow we'll be able to catch up. And I'm glad you were able to see our beautiful airport. St. Martin is a melting pot of so many different nationalities. And listen, the passengers, they didn't care. They were excited to be in St. Martin. I'm like, you're going to now enjoy the day. So that we're ready to just enjoy St. Martin. So that majority of them were visitors, and they were just happy to get their vacation started. So on the end, it all worked out fine.
You've spoken like a true minister of tourism. Excellent. Listen, thank you very much for speaking with us, and I hope we can check back with you. Yeah, and we'd like to check back with you in a few days when you find out a little bit more about what happened. Yes. Thank you, Minister.
So NTCS will be coming, and NTSB will be coming to St. Martin. That's the National Traffic Safety Board.
So the American,
they're going to be arriving tomorrow.
Yeah, the American National Transportation Safety Board and the Canadian Transportation Safety Board will be
Both
there.
Are coming tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll be talking to the TSB, the Canadian investigators, tomorrow. But I would love to speak with you again in the future, Minister. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Grisha Heiliger-Martin is the Minister of Tourism, as you can tell, Economic Affairs, Transportation, and Telecommunication for St. Martin.